and well. Hi and welcome. You're listening to me, your presenter, Esther, with Dov Benyaacov-Kurtzman. Dov, how are you today? Can we explain to everybody who we are about, what we are about?
Okay, thank you, Esther, for that introduction. What we are doing is starting off a new podcast. And our podcast is going to be called MindKind.
Amazing. Can you tell me and to my listeners, and to our listeners, what is MindKind all about?
Well, MindKind is basically a name that we made from two words. One is mind, of course, and the other one is kind. And it's kind of rhyming, so it should hopefully be catchy. And the idea is for us to present in a podcast form ways and skills and information about how we can be kind to our own minds and to others.
And tell me, who is able to access MindKind?
Well, MindKind will be broadcast as it is at the moment via the internet. And so it will be available worldwide. And it will be in the English language. And so anyone who can understand English and access to the internet will be able to access our podcast.
And can we just explain to our listeners, what is MindKind? Like, why is it so important to us?
Well, excellent question, Esther. We are taught from very young that we should be, if we want to be pleasant human beings, to be kind to other people. And that, of course, is extremely important. But we're less taught about being kind to ourselves. And what I mean by that is, I was flicking through my Facebook before we started this podcast, and I came across a posting that was about a young Indian Sikh boy who had committed suicide because he had been getting bullied, severely bullied at school. I can identify with this because that was in a similar situation when I was a young child. And sometimes we can be very cruel to other human beings, to other people. And that doesn't matter whether it's in the school playground or whether it's in the workplace. But what I've found is that sometimes we can actually be very cruel to ourselves. And what I mean is, under situations like that of being bullied or other situations which we're finding difficult in life, a lot of the times we say very harsh and horrible things to ourselves. We're thinking, oh, I'm stupid, oh, I can't do this kind of thing, why did I start? And it's a kind of a natural thing that happens, even you and me, when we're starting this podcast. There's a lot of things that we think about, oh, maybe things will go wrong, maybe the technical side won't be good, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, maybe we're not good enough to do this, and so on and so forth. And we have to learn how to deal and manage with that. And I think that's what MindKind will be about.
Will that help somebody who maybe lacks in confidence? Like, because you were saying that sometimes we feel, oh, we can't do this. And if we have the confidence and embrace our self-image and say, yes, we can do it, then maybe it can help us and maybe the mind can focus that our confidence can be better off.
Well, yes, I think confidence is an overrated word that we use. A lot of people go around, and I have been a part of that because I'm part of everybody else as well, and we think, oh, I'm not a very confident person. But if you ask somebody, well, are you confident when you're eating your dinner?
Yes, definitely.
Then you are. So it's not about being a confident person or not a confident person, because most of us and most of what we do on a daily basis, we're pretty confident. We're pretty confident when we walk, pretty confident when we talk.
Some of us more than others, especially in front of the cameras.
That's right. And so there are situations where we feel our confidence is a bit lower than would be our optimum of what we would like. And a lot of that happens because we're in an unknown situation, or we're in a situation where we haven't learnt how to manage it properly. And so there are situations where we think we're not confident, but maybe it's a natural reaction. A lot of people, when they're speaking in public or on the internet or recording something like we are, we get a very uncomfortable feeling. And we translate that as not being confident. And maybe the correct way to translate it is, this is an unusual situation where I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, a little nervous, and a little unsure of what's going to happen. And maybe that's a natural reaction and not something we should be adding kind of a pathology to.
Amazing, because also when people feel nervous, they kind of allow their thoughts to travel somewhere and maybe think, oh my gosh, what's the worst that could happen in the situation? For example, sitting in a doctor's office waiting to be called in, you're nervous. What's the doctor going to tell you? A child in a classroom who's going to be told off by a teacher or waiting for GCSE results. As we know, GCSEs have just come out last week. And everyone has their times when they feel better and worse off. And sometimes nerves kind of get to us and we feel, oh my gosh, what's happening? What's going on? And we travel. You know, our lives are journeys, our life have got a path, and unfortunately sometimes nervousness can take us down the wrong path.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's what MindKind is about. MindKind is about basically bringing information, teaching skills to our listeners about how to deal with our general day-to-day stresses. What is normal? A lot of people say, oh, am I normal? Does everybody go through this? And I think one of the things that we can do is to inform people that we're all kind of going through the same thing, first of all, and it's a normal human condition. So sometimes feel joyous, sometimes feel sad, sometimes feel nervous, sometimes feel disgusted. These are emotions that come and go in every human being. Also, we want to be able to bring information and understanding what happens when we go through, let's say, unusual stressful moments, things that are not on a daily basis.
Well, I think sometimes that maybe me personally, if I don't sleep well or if I don't eat well, breakfast, lunch and supper, that kind of can cause stress. And I've spoken to a lot of friends in the past, and they also say if they don't sleep on average 8 hours, or if they've not eaten, or if they've not had their morning coffees, they do feel very stressed. And I'm sure you'll agree with me. Psychologically, we all need to eat. I love my food. I'm sure everybody else loves their food. And you just sometimes need to let go and relax, and you feel happier when you've eaten a proper bowl of cereal or a proper bowl of pasta and cheese, for example.
Well, I agree with you, and you touched on a very important subject, and that is it's not all about mind. It's about mind and body. And they're very, very much connected, and they both influence each other. So yes, the proper nutrition, the proper sleep hygiene, the proper physical fitness are very important. We should keep ourselves as good as possible to our optimum level, and everybody has their own optimum. It's not a thing that's standard for everybody. And when we're in a physically healthy mode, this will affect our mind being in a physically healthy mode. And when we keep our mind in a fit mode, it will help our body also be in a fit mode. Both of them are connected, both of them are physical, and both of them have a mental element to them. And so we have to address everybody as a holistic being, a whole being, and address all these issues simultaneously.
And I believe, I'm aware, and I know that you kindly set up a trauma squad after the unfortunate Manchester Arena atrocity of the bomb attack last year on the 22nd of May. Can you tell our listeners how has that impact on other people's lives, and why did you set up this trauma squad in Manchester to help those who unfortunately went through the arena attack?
Thank you very much for that question. And that definitely was something that was a very traumatic event in Manchester and in the UK in general, and was one of a series of events during that whole period last year. So I was in Manchester 6 months before. I came to set up Heads Up CIO, which is a registered charity in order to teach people the general public and professionals how to deal with extreme trauma, especially in circumstances such as terrorist attacks or natural and man-made disasters. 6 months after that, there was the Manchester MAN Arena bombing. A suicide bomber blew himself up, killed quite a large number of young people, injured hundreds more physically and thousands more psychologically. And I think this is something, first of all, we have to keep in mind. For every physically injured person, you're going to have between 8 and 15 people that are psychologically injured, even if they're not physically injured. And sometimes these people go to the back of the queue and don't get treated for a long, long time, if at all. And this can affect them, their families, friends, and workplace, and can be very expensive also to the general society. And so I wanted to set up this organization that will bring new state-of-the-art, groundbreaking interventions under circumstances like that. Unfortunately, we had a week later, from that 22nd of May, we had another attack in London, which was the London Bridge and Borough Market terrorist attack, in which we sent down a newly trained squad to London Bridge to deal with the situation there and train a local London team. What we didn't realise is a week after that, there was going to be the Grenfell Tower fire. And so we sent immediately our newly trained London team along to that to deal with the traumatic situation there.
God should rest all those souls in peace, and it's unfortunate, like you said, people get psychologically affected. How did the local and national authorities take to the idea of you setting up Heads Up CIO? How were they about it?
Okay, so it was all done under field conditions, under emergency conditions. In the field, we were very much welcomed. We were welcomed by the police, by the people who were affected, and everybody else. In fact, a few days after we opened, we got a call from Buckingham Palace that Prince William wanted to meet me and some of my team, and so we met him in Manchester Cathedral. So generally speaking, we were very welcomed in the field. What we're lacking and what we want to still do is to have a little bit more official ties and networks with the local council, with the police, ambulance service, fire service, and so on. Basically have a working relationship with emergency services, but also a working relationship with other charities and organizations out there so that we can work in cooperation with them. We're not about competition, we're about working in cooperation for the benefit of the British public.
Can anybody get involved in helping Heads Up?
Well, actually can. This is something that's not just for professionals. We do a number of trainings around the country. We've got coming up one in London on the 28th of October, and we have one in Manchester towards the middle of the end of November, and another one in Leeds a week after that. So we've got a number of trainings. Hopefully we'll be also training in Scotland as well soon. So you can come along to the training. It doesn't matter if you've had any experience or not, as long as you're over 18 years old. If you have any experience in counselling or psychology, then you're welcome. But even if you're not, you're able-bodied, you're fit enough to run around and be available, or you're willing to contribute in other ways. You can contribute in the back office, you can contribute with skills, you can contribute with administration, talking on the phone, anything like that. You are absolutely welcome to contact us at hello@headsupcio.org.uk. That's headsupcio.org.uk. And we will find something that you can contribute. I believe totally that anybody, whatever your situation is able to contribute to society if they have the willingness to. And I'm open to any offers of help that we can get.
It shows me in life you can achieve if you really want to. It's all in the mind. And if you're able-bodied, there's no reason in life why you can't do what you want to do. Have you got any messages to our listeners out there, how they can help themselves once they're listening to our podcast on MindKind?
Well, I think as for our first and opening podcast, the message has to be, I think, following on from what you just said. Everybody has something that they can contribute to society, no matter what situation you're in. Even if you're in a situation where you feel that you're alone, that you are have thoughts of being useless, have thoughts of not having anything that you can do for society, well, I'd like to turn that message on its head and say, if that's the situation, I want you to get in touch with us, because we believe that being part of society, being in a social organization, being able to communicate with each other is one of the biggest protective factors there is out there for physical illnesses and for anything disorders of the mind. And generally speaking, those who have a social protection circle, those who are in communication with other human beings, are much better placed to have a higher quality life. And if our organization and you and me as individuals can actually open doors and be available for helping other people to help themselves and others, then I think that is the message of MindKind.
That's amazing. Thank you for listening to our show today. It's been great to come on camera and to tell everybody about MindKind. And I'm sure we'll be back very soon. And have a great day.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I think if we could just say, anyone listening to this or watching, if you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, or any of the
Twitter.
other platforms that you might be listening to this on,
YouTube.
Get in touch with us. Write to us. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want this show to be about. Both of us have experience. Esther has experience in media and broadcasting. My experience is in mental fitness, from anything to do with how we can get ourselves up and running and being a contribution to society. So I really also appreciate everybody listening. Thank you, Esther, for being a wonderful host this morning. And I look forward to our next podcast.
Thank you, Dove, and have a great day.